All right, YouTube. So I just got back from the bar, and I happened to come in contact with a man named Justin Cummings. He gave me his business card. He's a PhD, graduated from UCSC here in Santa Cruz. He's running for Santa Cruz City Council. His motto is turning passion into action. And I'm at his website right now, www.cummingsforcouncil.com. So I had a brief discussion with him, and I asked him, this is kind of a broad question, but what do you consider to be the biggest issues facing Santa Cruz? And he said, if I could sum it down, if I could scale it down, I'd say, homelessness, drug abuse, affordable housing. And I asked him about affordable housing. I asked him, are you pro-rent control? And he said, yes, I am pro-rent control. And I've talked about this before. I'm anti-rent control. I do understand the plight of the renter. I'm a renter myself, so I'm not, completely ignorant of that. But at the same time, I don't feel that it's necessary, or I don't feel it's right, morally speaking, to interfere with the free market, if you're government. And I didn't say that. I just said, well, I'm anti-rent control because I have family members who rent, and they're barely making it. So, anyways, let's go ahead and look at his website. This is cummingsforcitycouncil.com or cummingsforcouncil.com. So let's go ahead and click. Oh, here we go. Got to go to the little thing down there. So let's go to platform. Oh, here we go. All right, platform. This November, the voters will have an opportunity to flip our city council into a progressive. That's kind of a red flag. Progressive council that truly supports working families. So just off the bat, there's kind of, I'm not trying to defame the guy, but in my opinion, this is kind of Marxist speak. Talking about the working class and all that stuff. I'm hoping to earn your vote this upcoming election. Okay, as a democratic socialist. As a democratic socialist, I believe that we deserve a city council that works for the many, not the few. And keep in mind, these people are lying through their teeth when they say this, because ultimately Marxism, this is what it all boils down to. You can go ahead and come up with all these little buzzwords like democratic socialist and all this bullshit and try and hide the fact that you're actually Marxists. But in reality, they are trying to fight for the few. They are trying to fight for the 1%, because in reality, the bigger the government gets, the more government has control, and that essentially empowers the 1%. So let's go ahead and continue reading. As a democratic socialist, I believe that we deserve a city council that works for the many, not the few. I know firsthand that hardships that working class families face from my experiences and from my upbringing. So I talked to him about this. He was raised in Chicago in the housing projects. Okay, let's go ahead and continue reading. As a city council member, I will focus on affordable housing. By far, one of the most important issues that we are facing right now is affordable housing. As working class citizens, we are all feeling the burden of high costs of rent. Our neighborhoods are being gentrified. That's true. That's absolutely true. And working families are being displaced at a massive rate. Okay, so this is something that I can agree on. A lot of the people that work here in Santa Cruz come from over the hill. They come from Salinas, Watsonville, etc. So this is very important. This is kind of why I'm trying to keep an open mind, because I want to go ahead and keep an open mind regarding rent control, because I understand the plight of the renter. I'm a renter myself. But I don't want to punish the free market. I don't want to punish the private marketeer. That's unreasonable and immoral in my opinion. But let's continue reading. I support rent control and would work to ensure that rent control measure that was implemented would address the concerns put forth by both tenants and landlords. Okay, so that's good, This would provide renters with security in their ability to afford renting for the long term and provide bargaining power to ensure that the place that they live in is maintained without threat of enormous rent. Okay, so this is something I can agree on. Because I understand he's at the bar, and this is funny, he's at the bar, he's promoting himself there, and good for him. He's knows how to market, but it just wasn't the appropriate setting for me to have a more in-depth conversation. So I said deficit hawk, and then I said, oh, I'm a deficit hawk, and then he said, oh, well, and he said something about the Republicans. So obviously you can see where this guy's coming from. Anyways, moving on. Not only are we facing a housing supply crisis, very true, but the residents of Santa Cruz can no longer afford housing at market rates. The housing market has failed renters, and it's time that we turn it into a market that severs or serves the demands of our community. The City Council must step up and require that developers build affordable housing instead of paying a one-time small one-time fee. Should the city accept in lieu fees, those fees should be no less than 30%, like San Francisco charges. Okay, San Francisco is a shithole. So if you're going to be looking at San Francisco as a standard, then let's continue reading. Rather than putting those funds into a general fund. Furthermore, we raise the inclusionary rezoning percentage so more affordable housing units get built for every new development. Okay, I support building housing, and this is the thing. This is the thing that most progressives don't understand about the housing crisis. We need to grant these private companies government grants to build these housing units, because this is the only way it's going to get done. You need the private sector to build the housing, but you need the public sector to fund it. And the progressives basically say, well, we can't give money to the private sector. This goes against everything that we believe in. But this is, in reality, that's the way you solve the housing crisis. Anyways, moving on. Crime and poverty are on the rise. Everything from theft to drug use is impacting the pocketbooks and quality of life in our neighborhoods daily. This is very true. In fact, up in San Francisco, they're coming up with this genius, I say this sarcastically, this genius idea that they have safe areas to shoot up. So, in my opinion, that's enabling the problem. It's prolonging the problem rather than fixing it. Okay, crime and poverty are on the rise. Compassion. Okay, with stagnant wages exponentially increasing housing bias in Santa Cruz. I did not read that sentence correctly. With stagnant wages exponentially increasing housing costs and high costs for healthcare, more of our citizens are struggling to financially get by in Santa Cruz. Very true. You know how you can fix this? You cut taxes. You cut people's taxes, but they don't want to acknowledge this. Of course not, because the goal of all these democratic socialists and these Marxists is to enlarge government. And they're lying through their teeth if they deny this. Or they're just ignorant. They're just puppets. We can do no more. Our city must work, both internally with the county and state, to increase funding for mental health services and drug rehabilitation. I want to know where my money's going. So when I hear things like this, when I hear things like mental health services and drug rehabilitation, that's fine. I approve of those programs. Like I said, I'm generally, and I told this to him, I'm generally in support of these social programs, but we need to find a way to cut spending. And I told him this. I told him that a lot of money goes missing. A lot of money that's brought in by the taxpayers or provided by the taxpayers that goes missing. And for things like education and all that, and it goes missing. He said, well, the Republicans are to blame. So let's continue reading. Additionally, representatives of cities throughout California need to work together to pressure our state and federal representatives to push for single-payer health care, and provide more funding for mental health programs. Look, universal health care has been an absolute failure here in the United States. If you're talking about reforming the Affordable Care Act, then you're simply a prostitute for the insurance companies, because the insurance companies love Obamacare because they can't lose either way. They essentially say, well, you have to buy health care, and if you don't buy health care, we'll charge you for it. We're going to charge you a penalty. Yeah, that makes sense. Anyways, moving on. Local businesses. I can't do this anymore. I'm going to go ahead. So here's what I'm going to do, guys. I'm going to go ahead and break these videos up into different sections, because I got a feeling this is going to take me a long time. So that was a pretty good take. I'm going to end it on that. Anyways, so here's his business card again. Justin Cummings, PhD, candidate for Santa Cruz City Council. CummingsForCouncil.com. There's his number. There's his email if you want to contact him. I don't know if this is illegal what I'm doing, but he gave me his business card, so I don't know. Who cares? Who gives a shit? All right, guys. God bless, and I'll see you later. Peace out.